Best College Football Podcast. I'm the host, Pac-Man, and please, like always, subscribe and like on YouTube. Also, in any podcast app, give 5 stars. Any comments, likes, follows, subscribes, whatever they call it nowadays would be awesome. We're also on iTunes. Also on our website at thebestcollegefootballpodcast.com. We are on there where you can see links to the podcast, to Twitter, any transcripts. And like always, we read any comments, messages across all platforms. And we also have a text line at 208 643 5729, and that will be in the show notes. And welcome again to the show, Sam. How you doing today?
Doing well, doing well.
Big Boss Sam. That's why I have you on my phone as Boss Sam.
Yeah, Chef
I,
Sam too. You can call me Chef.
Chef Sam. Yeah, I forgot about that. Um, so we got you up in there, and I just wanted to update you. Unless you were aware, we did touch on it last week, but Nebraska, just wanted to update everyone in case they didn't know, is now the best 3-win team in the nation, baby. After their 1 point win over the vaunted Rutgers. Uh, just unbelievable. I
On
just never thought it would come to this.
they that game was so bad. So on Friday night I wasn't doing anything, so I was watching that game. It was when when you get done watching a game that's that bad, and you just think to yourself like, dude, that was 3 hours that I did not have to waste watching Rutgers. Rutgers, I've never seen any team like it. They just run out a new quarterback every possession. And like a few of them are Wildcat guys. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Obviously, you can't be a competent offense when you do that, but they were just terrible. Nebraska was terrible too, but they in other news, we joke about it. Best 3-win team. They're leading the Big Ten West right now. They're in first place.
What?
Yeah,
I didn't
two
even
and
realize that. It's nuts.
yeah, 2-1.
Oh shoot, that's crazy, man. I that the West, man. Well, maybe with the firing of the Paul Chryst, maybe Wisconsin will recover a little bit because they looked good last week. But
Hmm.
man, what a terrible division.
Yeah, Illinois is good. We should give Illinois some credit. They're
Yeah.
ranked now this week, and talk about another phenomenal game. We can just get that one out of the way too. They won
Mhm.
9-6 against Iowa, in two teams that are pushing back. Well, Iowa especially pushing back football hundreds of years into the early 1900s, I guess.
Yeah, they're like the handsmaid tale for college football or something like that, right?
That's right. That's right. Just unbelievable.
Dude, I think I texted you that because I actually just saw like the last part because
Hmm.
I was just like, well, I don't know. This coming week will be like this too, but usually there's like a good slate of late night games, and it just started to just get kind of crappy. Um,
Yeah.
and so I was
Yeah.
like, well, it's like 6 to 6, and it was like. I was like, I guess I'll watch that. I don't know why, but I guess I'll watch it. And then all I did is I think I texted you and said, uh, Illinois versus Iowa, LOL, and
Yeah.
it was because like right before I texted you, um, Iowa had literally returned a fumble like it was like 82 yards or something like that.
Yeah, and then it got called back, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it was nuts because apparently that was Illinois' like backup quarterback had come in and he was just so crappy. Didn't I thought he had only thrown a couple, but he was just like trying to lose the game on purpose almost. He was
Yeah.
so bad. But
And speaking of Rutgers, I'm pretty sure he's a transfer from Rutgers to Illinois. Art
oh my,
Sitkowski. Yeah,
oh
he's
yeah, yeah,
he's pretty bad. But yeah,
that was
that
funny.
game was that one was one that should have been an easy under bet. But I don't think we talked about it. I don't think we had it on our preview last week, but that one
Yeah.
definitely delivered for everything you could ever want in a an Iowa Illinois game.
Yeah, I mean, who's the idiot that didn't put it on the card, you know?
No, no,
But
that was a good one not to have.
yeah, no, it's funny. Now, talking about a little bit of news here. So we had Matt Rule, as you know, a lot of people speculated he was fired. Was that this morning or was that yesterday?
Yeah, I think it was Monday morning. Yeah, I believe it was Monday morning. I don't know. It doesn't matter, right? But he was
Yeah.
fired. I think he was something absurd. I saw a stat that he was 1 in 17 when the Panthers score or when they give up more than 17 points. So basically, their offense was just non-existent. I don't know how much. First of all, seemed like a college coach. The reason we're bringing it up too is we think he's going back to college and just never going back to the NFL. Otherwise, we wouldn't really care about NFL coaches
Hmm.
on this podcast or NFL in general. But but yeah, I mean, he seems like he'd be a perfect fit back at. I don't want to say it because I don't want him to be good, and we talk about Nebraska way too much. We've already talked about him, but he feels like a good fit there. I mean, I don't think was I think Wisconsin's probably going to stick with Leonard, but he would be Rule would be a really good fit there too. He fits in so well, and he's already turned two programs, Temple and then Baylor, into winners, and Temple fell off a bit after him, but Baylor's kind of sustained where he got him to. So I think he's a good coach. He's just not an NFL coach, which is fine. There's a lot of
Right.
coaches that aren't made for the NFL.
Yeah, and he and Baylor. That was after all the shenanigans out there too, right? So that
Right,
was a tough job.
right, exactly.
Yeah. Did you have any other news on coaching stuff or?
The only other one was I wanted to ask you this. So I've got a very strong bias because well, first of all, both two of my uncles went to Iowa State. So once Iowa State started winning a little bit, they got so cocky, and I was like, I never heard you guys even talk about Iowa State, and I honestly kind of forgot that you even went there until these last few years when they've been better, but not really that good. Like you know what I mean? I mean they've won. You know they did do well in the in the COVID year, and they've won 7 and 8 games. You know, but it's not like they were national powers or anything like that.
Hmm.
Anyways, my point is Matt Campbell had all this momentum and everyone loved all his speeches and how they would win all these games. But just looking at him on the sideline, and he was distraught and usually he's kind of a psychopath. He didn't seem to have that same type of psycho mentality. It just something seemed a little off, and so it kind of got me thinking if he missed and of course he's not thinking this during the game, duh. But it feels like he might have missed his window to jump up, and that's the thing that some of these coaches are, got to be. You've got to strike when the iron's hot because you stay somewhere too long, and then if Iowa State starts to fizzle out, and then they're people are wondering like, is he really that good? So that that's just something I thought about because he's probably been waiting out for a really big job instead of maybe going up like slightly a level from Iowa State, maybe to another level above Iowa State, and then try and work his way. So I don't know if he missed his window to get to that next tier job, or he probably would say he doesn't care. But just one of the things I thought watching K State Iowa State this past Saturday.
Right. Well, wasn't he always rumored to just pretty much be holding out for Ohio State?
Yeah,
That's what I always hear. But
yeah, but well, because he's from Ohio, or he coached at Toledo or somewhere before, so he's been holding out for that, or Notre Dame or Michigan or something like that. Something,
mm,
but I mean, those jobs don't just come open either. So, um,
right.
but yeah, that was one of the things I was thinking about. But I don't know if he'll jump ship now or he'll just wait it out. But I mean, they're in a bit of trouble this year, just because they don't really run a modern offense. The whole state of Iowa. How about the whole state of Iowa? Iowa, we just talked about the worst offense. Iowa
Right.
State is just a brutal offense as well. So it's they both have great defenses. So, but their defenses can't score points for them. So, um,
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess we can just start off there. I mean, you already mentioned Iowa State,
mhm.
Kansas there. What So I didn't get a lot of eyes on that. I saw the end where I actually had texted you like because I literally just saw the end where they said it was an incomplete pass, right? I believe, and
Mhm.
they thought it was complete, and then they overturned it because he was clearly out of
Yeah,
bounds, right?
well, he was out and he dropped it.
Yeah.
So it didn't actually have to go to review, and he dropped it. So overall, just a super gross game. But being a
Yeah.
K State fan, being a K State fan, and really any fan, you'll take a road conference win all the time. You don't care how it
Oh
looks.
heck yeah, man! Who cares what
S-
it looks like? But
yeah, especially at
I just
night.
remember his face, dude. I wish I had got a screenshot of it, but that was like one of the funniest
I did
faces.
rewatch it. I did rewatch it because it's like one of those things where you think for sure he's gonna catch it, and then he was just stone cold, like, oh my god, we just lost again, type of face. So it was it was pretty awesome to see. But yeah, just a quick recap. So 10-9, as you can imagine by that score, it was pretty gross as well. K State did have almost 400 yards of offense. So one of the bigger plays was actually when K State was up, I think 7-3 or 7-6. They get a long 70-yard pass play, and he's running to the end zone, and the defender comes from behind and pops it out at the 1 yard line. You know how that happens
Mhm.
sometimes. So that was devastating. So then Iowa State recovered it in the end zone on a really long K State play. K State also missed a
Dang.
33-yard. K State missed a 33-yard field goal, and yet one of the biggest Big 12 podcasters that I listened to stated that because of that drop there at the end, that Iowa State should have and could have easily won, which is fine, I guess, if none of the other parts of the game happened either. So if you say
Mhm.
that, then why can't you just say other things too? I always find it funny that people just pick out a certain play, like, well, if they catch that, then they win. Well, first of all, that's not even true. And also, somehow their kicker who missed every field goal against KU made every field goal against K State because it was 10-9, so they only had three
Mhm.
field goals. So it's just one of those things when you listen to some people, where it's I get like not everyone can watch every game, and we're the same way too. You know,
Mhm.
we're just watching pieces. We don't see besides K State for me and Utah for you. We don't. It's not like we have 500 hours to watch all these games, but it's still one of those things where if these are some of these guys is part time to full time gigs, so it's a little upsetting that it's you just can't do simple research on games before talking about it. But yeah, I mean, K State got the win. They've got a bye week this week, so there's some massive games in the Big 12 coming up for the conference race. So I don't know if we'll get into all of them, but if we just want to roll through, uh, like Big 12 now, because you said you saw some of TCU KU.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So because there's big games then coming up, and we can touch on those after. Just real quick, we won't do our full
Mhm.
preview, but that'll come
Right.
later in the week. But what'd you think of TCU KU?
So I was really happy I tuned into this one. It matched up perfect. It was right before the Utah game. Um, but yeah, Kansas said they had their starting quarterback get injured, and they had their backup come in. Was it Bean, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Flick the.
yeah, and they were saying like there's just like a bunch of Mr. Bean jokes going around.
Oh yeah.
But it was you know I don't know. I know you feel probably different because you hate Kansas, but well, we won't say hate's a strong
No,
word.
if they, I mean,
You
if they were good, I mean, I don't, I mean, I'll see
Mhm.
more of them throughout the year, of course.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think they're kind of um I think they were kind of getting lucky, but especially to have your backup come in and just do pretty well there. But it was just a big time. It was just like back and forth, and I actually thought Kansas for a long time was gonna pull it off, but just ended up coming up short on there. And it's hard with this. It was just a lot of points. Um, did they cover that? I guess they
I
did.
guess they
Yeah,
did, yeah, right at the end, TCU probably did.
yeah.
So Kansas had 540 yards of offense, I didn't realize.
Wow, that's insane.
So, dang, they were dominating, even running the ball too. They had 38 for 130, 38 for 189, 5 yards a carry. Geez, I didn't realize they just did anything they wanted, really.
Yeah, I mean Kansas. I mean, I don't know, it felt like while you're watching it that like Kansas was just like in charge, even though that
Mhm.
they were like trailing, but they felt like you're saying they just had a lot of offense. It felt like they could do just about everything, but they just came up short. Like it was destined to go into overtime, like because TCU scored, and then or Kansas scored, and then TCU scored to go ahead, and then Kansas was going down, and I believe there was a questionable call on as far as like they thought it was like horse collar or something to that extent, and on TCU, but they didn't call it, and it was like the fourth down conversion.
Mm.
There was also earlier a very controversial call. Even the announcers are like, "Oh, I don't know about that," but like Kansas, man, I'm not doing very good analysis here, but I believe they had um, caught a touchdown that could have easily. Well, so they confirmed a touchdown, I believe, on the field, and then or was it the opposite? I don't know if you saw that, but
No,
it was somewhat
there were a
controversial.
ton
But
of calls though. I did see that everyone was talking about how there were a lot of calls and some went against KU, and then me and my friends were talking about, well, now you know what it's like when people play, at KU basketball when they get every single call. So it's like, okay, now you guys get to deal with calls going against you or something like that.
Well,
So I
they
did.
well they had a really good call for them. It was like
Okay,
so I'm kind of like playing both sides. So TCU had a bad or Kansas had a bad call at the end, but there was a touchdown. I believe it was a touchdown where they said it was incomplete and then overruled it as a touchdown. It was like questionably like out of the back of the end zone, but they gave it to Kansas. So I guess I was just kind of nullifying, saying,
gotcha.
hey, like they got the benefit of the doubt on that one. um, but I don't know. It's hard to do analysis on it because it was a home game for Kansas, um, but Kansas. I mean, it's not a crazy atmosphere there. I know it was sold out, I believe, right?
Yeah, hopefully the porter potty survived.
Oh man, how many porta parties would you have to have for fill those up?
Yeah, that's right. Hopefully they all made it. I don't even know if that's actually still true, but there was they sent out a tweet, KU football, before the game, and I don't know if they were just leaning into it, but it said like getting the booth ready. The name of theirs is like something the booth, like that's the name of the stadium. And they just had a picture of like one of those like tractor cranes, whatever, just towing around a porter potty. And it's like, are you guys serious? Like, I don't even know if they were sarcastic. It seemed like it was just a regular like, well, yeah, we're getting it ready, getting everything ready, and it's just one guy carrying around like a industrial sized porter potty. And I was like, all right, well, I guess you do have to get all the porter potties ready, but
That's
crazy,
hilarious. Um,
crazy.
yeah. I mean, I like cheering for the underdogs. I
Yeah.
have I have kind of some bad experience with TCU in the past. Not bad, like I'm sure their fans are great, but just getting destroyed by them in 2010
Oh yeah. Okay.
when we were a big time paper tiger. We all kind of felt it, but we were super highly rated. You know, it was 2 years after we went undefeated, and TCU was undefeated, and then it was like the first time we had game day up at the U, and I was actually at it, and then TCU came and like just destroyed us, like hardcore. It was like 40 points or something like that. But
This was a
so
conference game? Was this a
yeah, well,
Mountain West conference game?
in the Mountain West, yeah,
Okay.
back in the day, yeah. So I have bad memories of that game still.
Yeah.
And their fans were cool. It was nothing, but it's like, well, I would like to see a
I
small
never
team
really
win,
you
but you
you
know,
met some of their fan. I never really met a TCU fan. I don't know that they. I haven't met one. Never seen anybody wearing TCU gear. I can't really
yeah.
fathom. They don't. I mean, there's not that many. So
Well, some lady is kind of notorious. Got kicked out of the stadium for taking off certain clothing during the game.
oh wow, got
Yeah,
erotic.
yeah. It got like it was like on video and stuff. I'm sure a bunch of fans are like, yeah, I got that on video, but no, but yeah, that was kind of funny. Yeah, you're right. I mean, you don't see a lot,
Because in
a
Kansas
lot of
City,
them.
right, we would see all the fans for the Big 12 championship for basketball and stuff. I don't remember many TCU fans, but I know I mean, there are some people from KC that went down there. I know because it's a private school,
Mhm.
and I think it's a decent school. It's expensive and stuff. So
Yeah, when
um,
I was Ubering, I never met anyone. Yeah, I
yeah,
would see Iowa State, Nebraska, Oklahoma,
yeah,
Texas, all the
yeah,
other ones. Even did I see Baylor ones? Not sure about Baylor, but
yeah.
probably not West Virginia because it's like way far away.
Yeah, I saw some. I've seen some West Virginia ones at Power and Light. I feel like
Oh, okay, yeah,
when
that
they were
makes
down
sense.
there, but yeah, not in general. The other one on the Big 12. So off of those two teams, we think both those teams are probably pretty good. TCU definitely is good. KU
Hmm.
has got most of their tough games coming up, so we'll find out more.
Right.
Did you happen to see? So I watched a good amount of replay of not a ton because it was 49-0, but the old Red River Red River rivalry was not much of a game, huh? With 49-0 Texas, and watching the game and the replay, I think it could have been about 70 or 80-0 if they wanted to. That's how insanely bad it was. We were talking about it last week about how they were just OU was just out of position and looked completely just helpless, hapless, pathetic. It was that way again, but even worse. And not only that, their offense, I don't know, like I know Dylan Gabriel is their quarterback and he didn't play this week. He was hurt. But then
Hmm.
you just don't have a backup quarterback? I mean, they were just running Wildcat with like different tight ends and it's like, dude, like you can't just. I mean, look at Kansas, right? We just talked about them having their backup come in and throw for 4 touchdowns. Why doesn't OU have at least a semi-capable backup? Now they did bring in a real quarterback to play, like sometimes when they weren't doing Wildcat, but it seemed like that was even worse. It's just a very very strange thing. The biggest problem I see from this, I've already seen it, is now the Texas love fest is full on. They're talking about
Hmm.
Texas back in the playoff now. They've already lost 2 games. So,
Right.
first of all, that's insane. And second of all, let's see it for more than 1 week against an OU team that's clearly just checked out, or I don't even know. This is probably pretty unprecedented for a perennial playoff team to go to this, right? I
Oh,
mean,
for
this is
sure. Yeah.
this is crazy. 55 last week to TCU and 49 this week. And it's 104 to whatever. They've been outscored.
Wasn't he supposed to be like the defensive coach too? So it's like
Yeah.
that's what doesn't make sense. It would kind of make sense if they're well, I don't know. None of it really makes sense. So they should be able to at least be decent on offense from last year. Um, and then their offense should be decent from last year. Just carry maybe a little bit of carryover, and then their defense should be coming into form a little bit. But it's like neither of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't No, and the the OU fans are in some denial, trying to say that, like we talked about, that Lincoln took everything, and there's no reason to lose 49-0 in a rivalry game.
Mhm.
They play at a neutral site, so it's not even a road game. I know there's probably more Texas fans in Dallas. Well, maybe not. I don't know, but it's I didn't expect this. I expected after two games where your defense doesn't play well against K State and TCU. I thought a little bit of life from them, but no. So we'll see if they got any life. They play KU at home, I believe, this upcoming week.
Yeah.
So we'll see if OU's got anything left in the tank or if they're just gonna go full out garbage. But we'll get into that more later in the week.
Oh, for sure. And I was just checked the hot seat thing. It still has Brent Venables as number 3 on the hot seat. Could you imagine, dude? Like
That's
literally half the season.
I don't right. I don't even. I don't think at this point, right? Like, how could it get worse? I guess you lose to KU like 49-0. That
Oh,
and then if that happened at home, like if they lose by 20 to KU at home, even though KU is better, obviously, but
mhm.
does that make it? Do then people start to think like, okay, what the heck is going on? Or can they just lose every game by 50 points and they're just going to say, oh, it'll be better next year?
I think, and yeah, I think it could happen. Honestly, the Big 12 on average, from the rankings I've looked at, is
Hmm.
the best conference. Uh, it's just I mean, they may not obviously have like the big names, but just on average, if you take into consideration, they don't really have a hardcore bottom dweller. So there's
Yeah.
a chance. I mean, maybe they're the bottom dweller.
Yeah. Oh, you just
Oh,
goes 0-9 in conference. It's like,
oh
what in the
man,
world is happening?
yeah,
But
for
yeah,
sure.
I would like to. I just want to see Texas get knocked down. The 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 way everyone just immediately, and they do look good, unbiasedly. Like
Mhm.
if they didn't have Texas on, I'd be like, man, they're looking good. But we do this. Everyone does this every year. They win a game or two, and it's all of a
Mhm.
sudden here's Texas coming again. And I think this year feels different. It feels because they got Quinn Ewers, and they
Mhm.
are their defense is actually playing semi physically. So we'll see what's going on, but yeah, that's I've kind of got the same feelings about the Big 12. It's very deep, very good. Any team pretty much can win any week, I guess, except for OU. Uh, but any team can win almost any matchup, so that's what makes it fun to watch and tune in.
Mhm.
So it's been a good start for the league, even though it won't probably bear the fruit at the end of the year with a college football playoff team. But that's okay. Like we said,
Yeah,
that's not what I mean, it is what it's all about, but not for us fans. That's not what it's all
yeah.
about.
And why don't we just touch base on the Texas Tech at
Hmm.
Oklahoma State game? I now just looking back, and I think over time I'm going to probably be proven wrong, but I just thought Oklahoma State, and I've talked a lot of respect on the Big 12, but I always thought that they were a little overrated, but
Hmm.
um, I'm impressed that they did win the game. Showed some grit, even though
Yeah.
they were down for a significant portion of the game, weren't they?
Yeah,
But yeah.
Tech really in the third quarter. I think it was the third quarter. It felt like Tech was going to
Mhm.
come back and take the game over. Like just they scored a few in the third, and I was like, uh-oh. And Tech was even on their third stringer quarterback, but Tech runs that Western Kentucky offense, so
Yeah.
it doesn't. Or Tech runs the Tech offense, right? They originated the air raid, but yeah, no, it was kind of similar to K State and Tech, honestly, where Oklahoma State was winning for a bit. Tech comes back, you feel like they're going to win, and then Oklahoma State responded at the end
Mhm.
and got the win. So yeah, still undefeated, pretty much like every year.
And yeah, they're not as overrated, as far as comparing S&P I keep on thinking that because I'm in the finance world, SP plus. So with the
Hmm.
AP poll, that has, AP has them at 8, and the SP plus has them at 15, whereas they were all the way down at well, just at 17. I thought they were for, but I mean, I've come around a little bit on them, more
Hmm.
than I was before, so that's impressive. And I do think Texas Tech is a good team, and you guys may have to worry about them in the coming years.
Oh yeah, yeah. Texas Tech with the way they're recruiting, and I mean, yeah, there's so many teams. That's why we talked about West Virginia last week about how it's kind of a nervous spot for them because everyone's besides
Hmm.
there's a few teams, but most teams are on the upswing, right? So if you're West Virginia and you're not on that upswing,
Yeah.
you're the one cycling down. That's when it gets, you get a little nervous because it's like, uh-oh, everyone else is on the up, the teams we're going to be competing with in the new Big 12. So we need to, we can't be sitting here floundering. So that's why it's a tough spot for them.
Right.
But yeah, the rest of the league is looking good. The remaining eight, whatever you want to call them, hateful eight, the eight teams from the Big 12 that are staying in the conference are looking pretty strong.
Yeah, for real. And so I'll just we can go to Utah game next.
Hmm.
So I, being a fan, you just don't have the clarity. It's hard. I almost never tweet during games anymore because it's usually just like a haiku of like being pissed off that I look at, and looking back, I'm like, that just looks so bad.
Right.
But I texted you, I think, after the game, like, Utah's garbage, man. Just like I was so
It's the
mad.
same way I am. Yeah.
And but I was kind of went over again, um and Utah did get kind of a garbage time score that made it not look as bad score wise. But even if they hadn't got that, I do. It wasn't as lopsided as it seems. Yes, I was distraught because it's like, Utah. In the past, when we were working together, 5, 6 years ago, whatever it was, Utah was like, just like, all we had was defense. We couldn't even throw the ball, and it's like,
Hmm.
but we had a great defense. Like our run defense, we had these just these road graders up front, and or whatever you call them. He just had just we had a lot of pride in this stuff. But since we've kind of flipped the last couple of years to having a better offense, and our defense has been average. Um, and UCLA really just took advantage. They had um, Zach Charbonnet, their running back. He was just running all over us. They had um, God, always forget his name. Jake Bobo, their receiver, was catching. He caught he got 2 touchdown catches, and he would have had a third one if he hadn't dropped the pass in the end zone. Um, so it was kind of frustrating, that way, because to see like our defense just not give support to our offense. So we're always trying to come back, and we actually did a decent job. We even at one point we started chasing points, and we were down. Um, so we were down. We scored. If we had done an extra point, we would have been down 4 points. But Whittingham was, you know, just wanted. It wasn't even late in the game. I think it was in the third quarter, and he's like, "Hey, we're going to go for two and try to make it at least, a 3 point game." And so it was kind of a gutsy play, and they did it and had a lot of momentum, and got within three. And then literally the next play, they throw it to Bobo, and he scored on one play like 80 yards. And it was like, come on, guys. And then they just started playing catch up, from there, because they were almost scoring on every possession. UCLA
Hmm.
was against Utah, like every single possession towards the end of the game. Like I swear through like the second half, and Utah just when that happens, you're just having to be more and more risky. And so then they had an interception, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. So Utah just was trying to play catch up. And I do think UCLA, I kind of had the feeling that they were better. I was scared. A lot of people on my family, would ask me, "Hey, how's Utah gonna do?" And I was just like, "I don't know. I think they're a lot better than they have in the past." And you know, in the AP poll, they're ranked 11, but the SP Plus has them at 8, and I think that's a more accurate rating ranking there for UCLA. So they, because I do think they're good, and unfortunately, I don't really like the way they've done it, and I guess this is just how things are. But I didn't even realize that they'd taken as a transfer Zach Charbonnet from Michigan. They got Jake Bobo from Duke, like their top receiver. They also had their other top receiver was from UCF. It's just they just are able to piece it together through being able to pay players really, and it's just kind of frustrating as part of the culture is changing. And I'm totally fine with players making money. It's nothing like that. It's more of it's just frustrating that it's really just unless your team has this huge NIL backing, then um, I just think a lot of teams, probably like K State or Utah, are screwed in the future. Like Whittingham actually went off on it, and he's usually pretty close-lipped. And this isn't like the classic um, old coach doesn't like players getting played, but he's more of mad about it. It's like he said this, which is crazy to say this on mic too, but he said, quotes. Pay a bunch of money. That's kind of what it comes down to. That's what it's coming to. And I'm not accusing anyone of illegal improprieties or anything like that because it's all above board with the NIL. There's going to be a time in the very near future where the top 20, top 25 NIL puts a lot of money. Um, I don't know. Sorry, it's not worded right. I don't know if you get, but he pretty much was just saying like the the top 20 teams, going forward are just going to be a mirror of the top,
Yeah.
the teams that have the most money because I apparently like this year, and this is what's been kind of crazy. So usually they say the year after you do really well, your recruiting like jumps a lot. Well, like last year, we didn't do super well, but for Utah, we went to the Rose Bowl for the first time as highly televised, but we've lost like 12 recruiting battles, this next year, and we do have our name in there, and it's just like, yeah, it's like, well, this linebacker wants 40 grand just to come, and it's just we don't have the NIL backing to pull that kind of crap off, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but sorry, that was kind of a tangent, but I saw that from Whittingham. I was kind of surprised he said anything because he's usually pretty closed lips. So
Hmm. Yeah. Looking at the game, so you were talking about it before, just looking at the drive charts in the second half, you said it felt like they scored every possession. So here were the first five possessions. So it was 14-10 at half, and then it went UCLA 9 for 48 touchdown, Utah 11 for 75 touchdown, UCLA 8 for 75 touchdown, Utah 10 for 75 touchdown, UCLA 2 for 61 touchdown. So that was the third quarter. It was just pure, like just straight touchdown drive, all around 4 or 5 minutes until that last one I think you mentioned was a UCLA long pass to DTR to Logan Loya. Not Bobo, but the other guy.
yeah,
So he had a long
he's the one
touchdown,
they
and
took from UCF. Yeah.
yeah, and then it looks like Utah fumbled. Cam Rising
Mhm.
fumbled on a fourth down, so that pretty much ended it. Once you're in those type of games and you have one possession where you don't score or capitalize, it feels like the game's over, and it probably was kind of over at that
Mhm.
point because
Yeah.
you're just playing. Um, like that scary type of game where it's like, man, it's almost more scary than a game where there's no scoring, because you've gotta be so perfect all the time.
Yeah, yeah, it's rough. But yeah, that was super frustrating. Uh, but I thought we would go on here. So I know these have been talked over a lot, but just wanted a couple points. Well, actually, I didn't get a lot of eyes on this, but I was going to go to the BYU at, well, was it in Vegas against Notre Dame? I don't know what it was, but maybe just a lot of, butthurt BYU fans. But the so they'd pretty much given Notre Dame tickets first because BYU, as much as I dislike in a lot of ways, I give them credit. They are really good at filling stadiums, especially all over the country because they have a following everywhere.
Right. Right.
Um, and usually in Vegas, they would have just showed up big time, but they apparently were they're the AD was doing some, or they claim, that they were so they were supposed to be a home right, so with BYU. So the BYU uh, went had already gone in the past to Notre Dame, and Notre Dame came back. So, but they made it like a neutral site, and then
Hmm.
they gave Notre Dame tickets first, so there was more Notre Dame fans there. Also, they were giving them control over like the PA system. Um, so it was pretty much they're running it as a quasi like Notre Dame home game, but it was at Vegas.
Yeah, that's
Um,
garbage. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it was a it seems kind of sketchy. I mean, you do a home and home or whatever. I mean, at least make it a true neutral site. So I kind of felt for him there. So that kind of sucks. But it ended up being close either way. But um, it looks like BYU came back and made it a little bit of a game there. But I just wanted to know on that those are some of the things I had heard. Nothing. I mean, those are reports like they were like treating the PA system as if it was a home game, and stuff. And they also got mad because I guess there was a couple Utah fans that went to the game in their full Utah attire and were making fun of BYU fans.
Oh no.
So apparently, and BYU fans always point it out, but it also happens the other way. I mean, we're all crazy, man. Like there'll be Utah games and BYU fans will come in BYU gear when
That's
BYU is not
insane.
even at the game, and they'll talk trash too. So
No.
it's kind of gone viral. I guess there's some person at the gate. There was a Utah fan just like talking trash, and all the BYU fans are making fun of him as they're losing.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
it was probably just someone from from Vegas that wasn't going to be able to go to the Utah game, but it made me laugh on that. Now, moving on there, I was going to just touch on some of these other games here. Now, Tennessee at LSU. I did think, well, you had some good points last time, so I'm not sure what is the correct take on this. You had thought that LSU was just extremely overrated based
Hmm.
on their schedule they'd played. I
Yep.
thought Tennessee was pretty good, but I was kind of worried that they were gonna kind of have a look ahead moment there. But obviously, maybe it was just a combination of those two things. But it's still, as a conference away game is tough, even if
Hmm.
it's at Kansas.
Yeah.
But like it is pretty impressive. That Tennessee went there and just curb stomped LSU, and didn't
Yep.
even. It doesn't even think they like looked like they even thought about Alabama yet. So,
No.
um, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, that is one of the good signs. Probably one of the most encouraging signs for a team is exactly what we're talking about with that massive game back at home against Alabama this week to go down to LSU, even though it was during the day.
Yeah,
LSU was crying, right?
yeah,
But one of the better things and this is probably because of game flow and everything like that, but their defense was obviously something we knew Tennessee could score, right?
right.
And not to say LSU has a great offense, they actually don't have a very good offense, but still for Tennessee, who struggled on D, to hold LSU to 13. It ended 40-13.
Mhm.
Hold them to 55 yards rushing. That's something that's impressive because you're going against Alabama next week, and whether Bryce Young's playing or not, Jameer Gibbs is going to run crazy against your defense if you're not, if you're not ready for it. So, and then we know from the other guy, if the other quarterback plays, he's going to be running too. So to show some of that out is good. Now they did let up 300 yards passing, but I mean when you're up that much, you're going to let up yards. That's kind of the way it goes. But yeah, this was a non-competitive game. I would like to say I thought it was going to be this big. I didn't think it would be this big of a blowout, but I was also a little confused. So this would be the only take I probably had correct for the whole year, but I was right on this one, saying that LSU is just not very good, and usually
Mm.
better teams win, and Tennessee was
Especially at
clearly
home.
yeah, and Tennessee was clearly the better team in this game. So yeah,
And it's
that's
crazy that Jaden Daniels is their quarterback at LSU. Just a quick note on history on that. Um, he was committed to Utah actually back in the day, but chose last minute by pressure from his mom to go to ASU. Um, and then we would just wreck him every time we played ASU. Whittingham would take all that. He's a very big guy on commitment. You know what I mean? And
hmm
so they took it seriously, and they just like destroyed him every time he played. But yeah, it was weird to see him down in LSU actually doing pretty decent. So uh,
yeah, he's
yeah,
doing okay. I'm not a huge fan of his
yeah.
game, just watching him play, but
He's
yeah, no,
tiny though too. He's so skinny, you feel like he's gonna
yeah,
snap in half.
yeah,
But
yeah.
there's some
Anything else?
crazy rumors about things his mom was doing that I probably
Oh my
can't say on the
gosh.
podcast. But yeah, like, and she actually got in trouble at ASU for like paying. When they got in trouble for, um, having recruits come in during COVID. Like she was like using like her credit card to fly him in under the
Oh
radar
my
kind of thing.
gosh.
But there's other more mischievous things, but we won't say on a recorded line here. But there's this. There's one more I just wanted to touch on, not really on the game because it's been you know besides just making fun of Jimbo, but too bad. It's like, holy crap, can just one of these teams beat Georgia or Alabama? You know what I mean? And just
I
finish.
know.
Yeah, but obviously Jimbo did one of the stupidest plays. Wasn't even at the the end zone, and it was just a bad play. But dude, I mean, who these guys, and this is why we're making fun last year. It's like, or last week. It's like my family that are Texas A&M fans always hate Texas because they think they're so small, but they have so much money that they went and gave this guy a huge thing. And these buyouts, like I put in the notes, so many buyouts include offset clauses, which subtract any salary from new jobs from the buyout amount.
Right.
No such clause exists in Fisher's contract. You're, he it literally has like guaranteed this. I mean, they're not gonna get like
It's like 85 and it goes down by 10 every year.
yeah. It starts in 22, 85, almost 86. It's like 85.95 million. Then it's 76, and then 67. I mean, dude, just to get to the buyouts we're having now, like when everyone thought it was crazy that they did with um, what's his name from Nebraska.
Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Oh
or
yeah.
yeah, or no, you're right. It's Paul Christ, right?
Yeah.
That they would have to wait till 2029 just to get to that number.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, there's no way. I mean, I know they're rich, and they are insanely rich, but I mean, if he keeps on showing this bad, like at a school where they really should be doing well, I mean, is someone in like 2023 gonna pay $76 million
Probably.
just to buy him out? And he's just gonna be like one of the richest coaches ever just to not play freaking coach a game, dude.
That'd be so awesome though. What a life if you can get it.
Oh, I
Raise
know,
your
right?
kids to be college football coaches, I guess.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but yeah, the on the game itself, it's crazy because I was listening to some of the different national things after, and they're talking about how, oh, now A&M sets up well. It's like d- I don't know, right? Like, does one game in a game like that where A&M for whatever reason always plays well against Bama, right? Like it seems to always happen, and they do have a lot of players, but like they play South Carolina next week, and then they play Ole Miss. It's like they could easily come out and just get stomped by them.
Oh, I think they'll
Them
probably lose both of those games, honestly.
like just because they almost beat Bama doesn't necessarily mean that okay, the rest of their season's going to be perfect now and they
Mhm.
showed all this progress. There's things like that that you can take, but it can't be progress from one game. Like you got housed by Mississippi State the week before. So then you play well against Bama. You got to double that up and then triple it up to show progress. And like you said, for a team that's paying that much money to all its players and all its coaches, that's something that I mean should be expected, right? Like you're 3-3. The expectation should be to go 9-3 right now. Like that should
Right.
be what it is.
I
And
hate that
that's
it shows that they beat a number 13 Miami when Miami's just garbage. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. We thought that was such a big win. And then they beat Arkansas, who just can't stop losing either. So,
Oh yeah, yeah.
um,
There you go. It shows they have a top 13 and a top 10 win, and neither are ranked, and
yep.
neither should be ranked.
Nope.
And it's like, whoa, it's just the SEC, baby. Uh,
Yeah, that's right. That is right. Miami. That's a strange one because I didn't think they were as good. We don't have to touch on this game because I didn't
mhm.
get a ton of eyes on it. But I'm a little surprised. Are you? I thought they were not like a great team. I don't know. I didn't expect them to be looking this poor. And they can still turn it around, of course. But I mean, they got to be like 2-3 now. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're two
they
and
are
three.
2 and 3. Yeah, and so so just from my experience with him at Cristobal at Oregon, he was just such an
Whelming.
underwhelming
Yeah.
coach. Like he was really great recruiter. He's the guy that you want as like an assistant, right? He could just
Hmm.
recruit the crap out of because he's probably just paying left and right, you know. I mean,
Right.
we knew he was when he was at Oregon because they would get
Yeah.
pictures with the what's his name from Nike, you
Phil
know.
Knight. Yeah.
Yeah, Phil Knight when they got like their really good lineman that was just insane from Utah. Actually, it was from southern Utah, from St. George area, I believe. Um, Sewell.
Oh yeah.
There was pictures of him with Phil Knight like before games during recruiting, and this is before NIL. I mean, this is so sketchy, but anyway, he's just a really good recruiter. And the problem is he really prides himself on smash mouth football, which is just kind of a dying breed. And I think you can still do it like as a niche, but I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I know Kansas State does a lot of stuff, but you guys have a lot more um, finesse, I guess, or a lot trickery and different things. But they're just like, we're just gonna run it down people's throat. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
just don't
Yeah.
know
That's
if
how
Miami's
Cristobal.
the
Yeah.
best way to do that. You know?
No, especially with a good quarterback. I mean, I thought Van Dyke was good,
Yeah,
and
he was amazing.
he was good last year and had Heisman odds and all that sort of stuff coming into this year. But yeah, when you're, it's so hard to hire a coach like that that like strategy is he doesn't have an offensive background, and not only that is even if he brought in somebody, I don't think he'd let them do what they want on offense. So like that's where it sucks, right?
Right.
Because your head coach is also, he's a defensive guy or whatever, but he's also telling, kind of putting the clamps on the offense. So
Mhm.
that's where it sucks. That's why so many teams are I mean, look at Tennessee, right? Like they may not ever be really good, but hiring Heupel, hiring an offensive guy, they're just fun to watch. Like, and
Right.
granted, if and it's even true with Lane Kiffin too. I don't like Lane Kiffin. You talk about skeezy guys.
Yeah.
He's like the definition of that. But I mean, it's still this year's been a little different. Ole Miss's offense isn't as good, but they're still the brand of football. It's I'd be so hard pressed to hire if I was at a big school. Now, granted, like we talked about at K State, it's a little bit different. I mean,
Mhm.
it's you can win that way, and you kind of have to win that way
Right.
with a kind of a multiple running style offense in that case. But yeah, if I was at a big school, I mean, making a hire to a but Kirby, I mean, that's the but like so Kirby was defense, right, at Bama before he went
Hmm.
to Georgia, but they became one of the best defenses of all time. So like if you can
Right.
become the if you're that type of defense, then that's okay. But otherwise, I mean, you gotta score points. You gotta play a brand that kids want to come to, and you can your offensive skill players can thrive, and they're clearly not doing that at Miami right now. So he needs to figure it out too. So maybe Cristobal on the hot seat,
Yeah,
Cristobal and
because
Venables.
I mean, they paid a lot
They
for
did.
him. I mean, it's like it's insane. Some of these guys, they're I don't know. These places just need to. It does have him. I was just checking that. It does have him on number 7 on the hot seat.
We
This
should do
website is hilarious. I love
yeah,
it. But
yeah, we should do it like that. I mean, we should just do hot seats after like teams lose one game and like they have a very proven coach.
yeah,
Like who would it be this
Nick
week? Who
Saban or something.
who just
Like,
lost this week? Yeah, like
oh no,
Mark
or
Stu
just barely lost. Oh yeah, yeah. Mark
like
Stoops. He's
Mark
on the
Stoops.
hot seat.
Mark Stoops. They just lost to Carolina hot seat. They've been absolutely amazing for like the past 5 years, but still probably hot seat.
Yeah,
Speaking
Kyle
of
Whittingham. Yeah, they put him
Kyle
on the
Whitting,
hot seat.
yeah, Kyle Whittingham hot seat. We should just do that. Just and then people are like, look at these clowns.
Look at all the clickbait we would get. Is Whittingham on? Or no, wait. Yeah, it's me thinking. So yeah,
Leipold,
yeah. Is Leipold on the
Leipold.
hot seat after his big loss to TCU at home?
That's probably the best one, right? Because they're 5-1, like just
Yeah.
turned the program completely around. Hot seat.
And
Um,
yeah, we should totally do. We'll think of some funny things like that.
okay.
That's great. When and one last thing before we let you guys go here, our Leopold, he's been talked a lot. So what would be kind of funny for you is that he gets poached away like here pretty quick. Um, okay. I wish I had a podcast when he was at Buffalo,
Hmm.
because I was like, dude, this guy's legit. He's
Oh
gonna
yeah.
be good wherever he goes. And like all these people are like, nah. Like even when Kansas hired him, I'm like,
Oh, I was so pissed.
hire of the year. You know what I mean? Like this guy's
I
legit.
was
I mean, he
so
turned around
distraught.
Buffalo, and you see what happened after he left. Like, I mean, dude, like he could.
They're not good anymore, right? They
No,
it
yeah,
It was it was and the reason, having some firsthand experience, I said before that I was at Whitewater, but I was obviously just a scout team player as a freshman there, just getting my ass kicked by all the all Americans on defense that we had. But the coordinators, I mean, and granted, I was only 18, 19, but you can just tell, even though maybe somebody at that point I hadn't been around a ton of different football or known much at all, you just kind of know when somebody knows, and who knows what they're talking about. And just me by being a football fan my whole
mhm,
life, and watching and stuff, I knew that those coordinators that he had on his staff, I was like, man, these guys are gonna be going places if they want to. And sure enough, they wanted to. And now they're I actually saw the Zabrowski, who's the co OC and head coach, after being through maybe one of his picks. He was over consoling him on the sideline. Or not a
mhm.
pick, maybe just that bad fourth down pass. I think at the end was a pretty bad pass, right?
Yeah.
That he threw to end it. So yeah, That yeah, somebody else needs to hire him. Like I said last week,
Yeah.
they need to get them all the way out of Kansas. I'd rather have them not go to Nebraska because I hate Nebraska too. Uh, but yeah, that's why I was hoping Wisconsin. But the more I read about it and think about it, they're probably just going to do Leonard, um,
Mhm.
who's taking over because they got a paper soft schedule the rest of the year. So these teams in the West and some of these teams in general, just they don't have to play anyone the whole year.
Yeah.
It's like it's the unbalanced scheduling that exists. Kind of I get it. Like how can you not make it unbalanced? But I mean some of it is just completely outrageous.
One if
There's
What if Leipold went to? Oh, sorry to interrupt you.
no no.
Uh, I know they wouldn't give him enough time because they're terrible. But if Auburn let
Oh
him
yeah.
actually grow the program, you know what I mean? Gave him, say, hey, we'll give you 5 years no matter what. You know what I mean, dude?
Hmm.
That would bring me so much joy. To
Yeah, I
see
would
him
love
just
that. I want to.
destroy
I want to.
Alabama.
Yeah, I want to cheer for them. So I hope he goes to a team that I don't hate. So like I don't really necessarily hate Auburn. I mean they've done their own
Mm,
cheating with Cam Newton. Um, it was down to K State and Mississippi State, and then Auburn came in with the big bag and got Cam Newton
right.
at the last minute. So but every team's done that, so I don't have any hard feelings. And like you said, somebody's got to knock off Alabama. So yeah, somewhere like that. That seems like a not a good fit,
Oh,
right? Just
totally not, because they're just
yeah,
like,
they're too
we'll give you like
insane.
1 year, to
Yeah,
rebuild the whole program. You know what I
right, right. We've been kind of dicking around for the last 5 years, but you want to go fix this all and get us into the national title by 2 years from now? That'd be great. So,
mean?
but yeah, I don't have any other.
Mhm.
The only other game I was at the Michigan Indiana game, so that was
Oh yeah,
it was fun. There was a big noon kickoff. I was texting you pictures of that, so that was pretty
yeah, that's
cool.
cool.
They had a pretty good tailgate, honestly, for Indiana. There was a pretty good tailgate scene. One super strange call that I want to see if you and it probably didn't impact the game, but Indiana was playing pretty well in the first half. Second quarter, they scored to go up 13-10 against Michigan, and the whole crowd celebrating. They get the extra point team on the field. Michigan gets their extra point block team on the field, and they're just about to go kick. So it's literally been like a legitimate of real time 60 to 90 seconds after the touchdown, right? Like it's
Hmm.
been maybe not that long. I don't know if the play clock goes on the next ones, but it's been a decent amount of time and the new teams are on the field. All of a sudden the officials start to huddle up. It was like a second down play or something, and they huddle up and we're like, what the heck is going on? It's been like a couple minutes, and then they just drop a flag. They just like drop a flag and they call offensive pass interference on the play before. And everyone's like, what in the world? Like that's over. Like why did you even let like everyone come on the field? Like it was very sloppy, and then from that point on, Indiana kind of lost because you lose your momentum. They just had scored a touchdown, then they got the OPI, which is 15, I think, and then they had to end up kicking 10-10. The game really wasn't that lopsided. It ended 31-10. Michigan finally figured out some offense in the second half. I was extremely unimpressed with Michigan. They did have a really scary situation on the sideline where a coach collapsed. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, dude,
Um,
that's too bad.
yeah, that was super
I think
scary.
there was
But
their offensive coach, wasn't it?
yeah, Mike Hart, I think he used to
Yeah.
play running back there. But yeah, that was scary. But I wasn't impressed with them. I went in thinking, you know, all right, let's see what they got, and I didn't see a lot that made me think they were good. I know you're not a big Clemson fan. To me, I think I would put Clemson over Michigan,
Yeah.
but we'll see. Clemson, Michigan's obviously got to play
Yeah.
Ohio State at the end of the year, so we'll see there. But yeah, that's pretty much it I got for the week. What would week 6 just finish? So
Yeah.
we're getting into these conference races pretty deep now.
Yeah, we'll have to, we'll talk again, later this week and do talk about next ones we'll have to think about. Uh, we weren't together before the season, so we'll have to do like mid-season predictions,
Oh
just
yeah,
guesses on big moments, maybe like who goes to the playoff
yeah.
and stuff like that. But that'll be fun.
Yeah, and yeah, we can talk about what I thought was going to happen preseason. I'll be as true as I can because I know
Yeah,
what I thought before the season, and it's funnier anyways because some of the things I thought were obviously way wrong. So
right.
so we'll try and do that because I mean that's similar. I was thinking, one of the easy ones would be thought Oklahoma was going to be good, thought Miami was going to be good. Some of those things just they come and go and are gone. The only other last thing before we get out of here, did you see that Oregon State catch where he jumped over the Stanford DB? You need to go watch this one after.
Oh, I
So
didn't see that because it was really so my bad. I was like, dude, or I was kind of a little bummed that night, and I was like,
yeah,
dude, the Pac-12 is doing the Pac-12 thing. They're just Stanford's gonna win, but
right,
I
right.
saw that they won. I need to. Yeah, you're right. I need
Oh,
to
you
go
need to
see
go
that.
watch that. Okay, so I fell asleep too because we were texting and it was so late, like when we were texting after the game, and the game still wasn't over because it was full Pac-12 after dark. So I was like, I can't stay up anymore. So I went to bed, woke up in the morning. I think it was like 20 seconds left, and the receiver it's one of those passes down the sideline where he jumps up, the DB's still looking at him, and he like goes over the back of his head to pull it like off of his back. You know, those type of catches
Hmm.
that are just so awesome. But then this one, not only does he do that, then the DB's kind of disoriented because he just had like that guy teabag him and jump over him, you know? So
Yeah.
so like by the time that guy lands, this guy's like turning around, like he kind of looks back like he's in the spin cycle, and then he takes it from there and he's able to like run down the sideline for like a 40 more yards. So he not only picked it over him, he then took it to the house and there's like 20 seconds left. The crowd shots are some of the funniest things ever because it's just straight nerds in the
Oh yeah.
Stanford crowd.
I'm
There's
surprised there
all
were any
yeah,
Stanford
there's
fans there.
well, yeah, there's all 12 fans there,
Yeah.
and they were pretty distraught if they even knew what happened. I'm pretty sure because there were some of them like laughing, so I don't know if they knew that that was bad for them,
Yeah.
what just happened. But yeah, last cool thing. So we'll talk later in the week.
Yeah, sweet. Well, yeah, thanks again for joining me, Chef Sam. And remember, guys, please subscribe, like, follow us, whatever it is on the podcast and YouTubes. We appreciate you guys, and you guys will hear from us later this week. See you
See you guys.
guys.